Hello, everyone.
Welcome, welcome.
Thanks, Mike, for joining us today.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
We're excited about this one. Turno has been a great partner for Journey. We have a pretty unique collaboration between our two systems. I think one of the few companies and service providers, I guess software providers in the industry that they believe in freemium. Um, Pretty cool offering the fact that Turner is available in Journey Basics, and where people can connect their Airbnb account, access to Journey Basics for free and Turner for free. So, love what we're building. I think we kind of kept the collaboration a little bit under the radar, although it's been existing. But we're I think this year slowly going to start pushing it a little bit more. I think this webinar we can dive in a little bit in how does our integration with you guys work, and a little bit of some of the cool stuff that Turner can do.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm Mike. I'm the head of partnerships here at Turno, and I'm happy to be on this webinar. I think it was probably a year ago today when Luca and I we were at an event and kind of brainstorming, how we could come together and kind of provide a solution in that freemium space. So it's kind of been like a year in the making. And Journey has built an integration that is probably more robust than any of our other partners out there. I hope no one's listening to this, but basically what they did is they actually built into our API. So in technical terms, you get to live in Journey a lot more than you get to live in Turno. So everything that's kind of going on, you're going to be able to see in one place, which is really cool. As much as we'd love you guys to be in our, platform, it gets really annoying, when you're in, multiple different, different platforms, right? I mean, I remember the days of, being in Price Labs and going to Airbnb and then going into Verbo and making sure, everything's blocked off there. And then I got to run back to Turno and make sure my cleaners, are all set up. So, consolidating everything into one place has been massive, I'd say. And I think that's where the industry is kind of turning, where you have that one-stop, solution. It's going to help with your operations, as well as getting bookings as well. So we're really excited to see how far it's come. And with that being said, you do get Turno for free if you are a Journey customer. And I just need to clarify, it is free if you want to schedule your own cleaners. If you use someone from our marketplace, you do have to pay them to go clean the place. We believe it or not, get people asking, why people aren't going out to clean for free. So just a disclaimer on that. Believe me, we've gotten it. If anyone has any questions about that, I can go into more detail. But our software is free to use. You do have to pay your cleaner still.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. Yes, and sorry. I mean, some people are probably new to our webinar as well. I'm Luca Zambello, CEO and co-founder of Journey, and here we have Jason leading our Peace Dev department.
Yep. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, you want to go ahead and maybe showing a little bit what Journey looks like for what Turner looks like for Journey users, and then I think Mike can show us a little bit of what Turner looks like for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me share my screen here. Cool. All right. Well, yeah. So Mike spoke a little bit about how we've kind of taken a different approach to some of the other systems in the space, and have been building basically a true all-in-one system. I hesitate to call it all-in-one because that's what everybody says, but we've truly gone the extra mile and built out those grueling APIs that most software providers are not willing to do, with the help of Turno, of course, to be able to bring you a fully integrated housekeeping and maintenance project task management app here. So typically with any other PMS or provider that you'd be working with, you would have to either create or sometimes have your cleans automatically created in the platform. In this example would be Turno. but Jurny does that directly from, we schedule the cleans automatically, but then we also give you this nice UI where you can go ahead and actually manage and see all of the cleans and all of the projects that you have scheduled. So this is, you know, a little bit to what Mike was speaking about, where you have this available within the system here, and you can go ahead and create new projects here, assign it to a new cleaner. You know, just go ahead and choose the unit that you need cleaned, start date, start time, and end time, and then you can go ahead and create that assignment directly from Jurny, so you don't have to log into Turno to do that. That would be more of like a one-off situation, you know, where it's not necessarily a checkout, but where you need to, you know, go ahead and create that task for that specific cleaner or agent. And then on the right-hand side, you have all of your cleans. So these are the, you know, you have your check-in dates, checkout dates, and these are all the cleans that are basically scheduled already for you in Turno. So you still have the full Turno app and everything that goes along with that. Your housekeeping and maintenance team can use that app to, you know, see their checklists and everything that they need to do. But on your end or on your team's end, on the back end specifically, they can manage a lot of, you know, a lot of the Turno projects from here. And it's a really, really nice user experience because you don't have to bounce around from, you know, platform to platform to be able to achieve that. So I guess, Mike, seeing this, how does this, I do have a question in terms of like how this kind of compares to, I guess, I don't want to name any names, but kind of like what the norm has been in the industry up till now. And we kind of hit on that already, but.
Yeah, typically, you know, other solutions out there that we'd call, you know, channel managers, property management softwares, will have their own task scheduling tool that they've created, that they've built out, in which, you know, the cleaner either has an app, a web app, or in some cases like an email text notification, letting them know, you know, when to clean, which, you know, can be pretty troublesome because things change. And as you know, if you're operating, you know, multiple properties, it can get kind of hectic, scheduling out cleaners. So typically what happens, you know, with other providers is they'll link in to, you know, Turno, or some of our competitors out there that, you know, really focus on the operation side of the business. So, you know, the cleaners, maintenance people, inspectors are going to have their, you know, dedicated app where they can go through checklists, take photos, look at guiding images, fill out inventory, you know, things of that nature. So that's kind of the typical flow. What's nice about Turno and the Jurny integration is we've actually kind of built it backwards. So in, you know, a lot of other applications, you know, Turno is going to be building into another PMS, whereas this is the other way around, where Jurny's built into us. So they kind of can control everything, you know, from inside the Jurny product, which is nice. So you're not kind of clicking back and forth, going into your Turno account. Now your cleaner, you know, and your, you know, inspectors, maintenance people are going to live in Turno, but you necessarily don't have to.
Yeah, and Mike, actually, to that point, before we even dive deep in even on Turno's product, maybe you can share with the audience what made your team think to build Turno. Like, why did you guys build Turno? What was the need in the industry that you guys have seen, and what is the need that you are solving?
Yeah, so way back when, you know, there wasn't, you know, a ton of PMSs, right? It's kind of like a, you know, newer form, you know, in the STR industry, and specifically, you know, property management software, you know, that focused on individual hosts, core hosts, people that maybe have 1, 2, 3 properties. A lot of them were just, you know, scheduling out through Airbnb, right? So the reason Turno was created was to just originally just kind of link in, you know, to your Airbnb calendar, and it would just push out, let the cleaner know when they had to clean, you know, show them checklists, things like that. And over time, we've evolved, you know, to include payments. We've built our marketplace out, which is probably the, you know, the best part of our offering. You know, if you can't get a cleaner to come clean, you can go into our app and search for someone. And, you know, in most markets in the US, like 99% of our searches will yield a cleaner, which is nice. So it's great to have, you know, a backup cleaner as well. So over time, that's kind of, you know, how Turno's evolved, I'd say.
Yeah,
Started
and
off with an easy way to schedule people, and it's become much larger than that. And I think that, you know, across the industry, like, look how much, you know, Price Labs has grown in the pricing world. Like, it used to just be this basic, you know, pricing tool, and now it's insane what they're doing, and Wheelhouse, things like that. So it's really amazing to kind of watch, you know, how the entire industry is just getting that much better. And then I'm sure, you know, you guys have a lot of people inquiring about direct bookings, other channels other than, you know, your main, you know, Airbnb booking, Vrbo, right? Like, there's a lot out there. So it's really exciting time, you know, in the space, I'd say.
definitely, and I definitely don't want to understate the power of the marketplace that you guys are building. I think that's a extremely unique thing compared to anybody else in the market, and that's what fun, you know, made Turno very interesting for us, like coming from being former operators ourselves before building our software solutions.
Yeah.
Having that backup, it's massive. Having the ability to find cleaners in new markets you're going to, or something happen, it's huge.
Yeah.
So
we get a lot of folks that'll come in and, you know, they've been using their own cleaners for years on Turno, and then they get an opportunity, you know, 40 miles away, which their cleaner is probably not too keen on going to clean, you know, but it's something that they can still operate, you know, as a semi-professional host, and they're going to go into Turno, do a search. You can then chat with the cleaners, kind of, you know, pick someone that, you know, might be a great primary, and then line up some backups as well. So you're always going to be covered. So that is a really, really nice benefit.
So now let's maybe dive in a little bit on more the nitty gritty of managing cleaners, managing tasks, and let's take a look, like, really how does it work? How does it look like for the cleaners? So do you want to show us a little bit of the product?
Yeah, let me
go
share
ahead.
the screen real quick.
Yep.
It lets me. Let me know if you guys can see me here.
Yep, looks good.
All right. So I'm just in a real account here because it's a lot better to show a real account than it is my numerous demo accounts and kind of what's going on. So this is where, you know, most people are going to kind of live in our, you know, schedule. So basically what you can see here is these are all bookings, right? And it's going to compile, you know, a calendar. This person has, you know, quite a few properties here. Today's Thursday. So what we can do is actually kind of take a live look, you know, at what's going on, which is kind of nice. So, you know, if today is Thursday right here, this cleaning just got completed. So if you see here, this little check mark indicates that the cleaning has been completed. And then right here, you can see it's a same day turn with those two arrows. So that's going to take priority. Then we can actually look at the details. Right here, we have our checklist that you can go through, you know, see that they hit, you know, all of these, you know, requirements. You could actually put guiding photos, you know, in the checklist. So if, you know, you have a cleaner that's maybe not super experienced with that property, they're going to have as much detail as possible, right? So what a lot of people will do is, you know, put their listing photo in. So right here, you can see, you know, that's what it's looking like now. And then, you know, right here is that guiding photo with the actual listing photo. We also have the ability to, you know, track inventory. Cleaners can leave a note. So right here, they had one hand soap refilled. We also have a teammate location as well, if you want to turn that on to see where they were when they started and they finished. You also can kind of, you know, see real time, this person's in progress. Okay, they've gotten through 53 of the items. They're still working on it. Here are the 5 photos they've taken. So it's kind of nice to be able to top down, kind of see what's happening. Then I'll take you over to our problem reporting section. So when there's an issue at a property, the cleaners are gonna, you know, create a problem. So right here, we have an issue today with the grass. Apparently it's too high, right? So we can see that, and then we can actually share this out to a maintenance person or anyone you need. I don't think a maintenance person needs to mow the lawn. I think we can find someone else to do that. But, you know, if there's a bathroom cabinet broken like here, you know, the tub needs attention, things like that, The other thing that's nice too is our
And,
auto.
and Mike, actually, before you go to ahead, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think you brought up so many good points, and I want to a little bit dive deeper in some of them. One, the fact that you can have that checklist that you will having basically cleaners going by, and it allows you as a host, really, when you're trying to scale, and B, when you're trying to create a brand or doing both, to really set some standards that it's very hard to track, especially if you're not able to go and check all these properties. So I think for anybody that is not familiar with this type of solutions, it really helps you get an idea of what's going on across all your properties without having to be there. Alongside, obviously, the automatic scheduling that happens, which is in sync between our two systems, right? Like, we're getting all the information from Airbnb, Booking.com, Expedia, and about all this, and all this reservation information gets shared with Turno through our API connection. So all the scheduling can be done and be fully automated. So I just want to kind of double down on that a little bit, because it's for the importance of it, and how much it can help people operations.
Touching on the checklist, I know that you guys kind of, prepared a checklist as well. So each checklist is going to be customizable for each property, which is nice, because you might have a, different mix. Like, you might have a 1-bedroom and then you might have a 3-bedroom, right? Everything's going to be different. And what's nice about Turno is we have this section called popular checklists. And we have this one right here that's kind of featured. It's a host friend of mine, and he has spent years perfecting this checklist to be like the perfect one in his opinion, for marketplace cleaners. Shout out to Kanan there. So there's this, I don't even know how to describe it. It's this chicken and the egg thing with checklists, right? So in theory, you could create a 200-point checklist, and the cleaner's going to go out there and they're probably not even going to have time to actually clean, right? And in retrospect, you could create a 5-point checklist: clean the kitchen, clean the bathroom, clean the bedroom, and you're not giving them enough information, right? So what I'd advise is you can actually go into this popular checklist and click on this one at the top, and basically just kind of fill it out to, it's going to give you all the template here, and then you can kind of just customize it to your property. But there's little things that, you might not be thinking of, right? So, locate, the remote and place it in that same location. A lot of people like to label their remotes, because, believe it or not, people will take the one from the living room and put it in the guest bedroom, and then people are turning TVs on throughout the house. Little things like that. Coffee makers, cleaners forget to clean coffee makers. If it's not explicitly detailed in your checklist, odds are they're probably not gonna, get to it, right? And the worst thing is, someone gets to that home, the first thing they do is, open that pot up and there's a dirty filter, right? So I think there's this fine line between being overbearing and, really giving them too many items, and really highlighting on the things that are important, right? That could benefit, like that could, result in a poor review. And that's kind of what we're after, right? Is we really want to give that guest an excellent experience, and we don't want them to give us a bad review if it's booked on the OTA, right? So what can I do, to ensure, they're going to have a really great time, and walk into the place and it's clean, right? So a lot of hosts will, have a flow where, immediately they'll reach out and, ask, how clean was the place? Are there any issues? And you can have kind of like a flow set up where if there is a problem, you're reactive and, you can send the cleaner back out. Some people go the inspection route, right? So say the cleaner goes out and finishes at 2, then they have an inspector come out and take a peek and make sure everything's up to standard. That can get expensive, obviously. But there's a lot of things you can do to make sure your quality is maintained.
Yeah, I love that suggestion, Mike, about being proactive. It was one of my tips for later, so thanks for using that now. Actually, we have a few questions in the chat really quick if we want to address those. So Marianne asked, if I understand correctly, I can choose my cleaners and add that guideline for them directly on Turno, and from then on, just do the scheduling on Jurny.
Yep.
So yeah, exactly. You
Exactly.
can.
And not yet, we do not have yard maintenance people. If I had $1 for every time someone's asked for maintenance people, I wouldn't have to work here anymore. It's something that we're piloting in select markets right now, depending on where you are. It's incredibly hard to find, reliable people that are skilled in all facets of maintenance, as you guys know. So if you have a good maintenance person, treat them well, don't let them go. Pool cleaners also we are piloting as well, DJ. So if you're in that market, we can probably help you out. But yeah, these are all things that are are very challenging. It's hard enough to find cleaners, but then you factor in all the other things that you need for a property, and it just gets even more overwhelming.
Yeah. Good questions, though.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jason, I think, well, while more people ask more questions, Jason, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually going to open it up, I think, for some tips and recommendations. I mean, the topic of the webinar is mastering the checkout process. So I guess what would be some of your advice, Mike, and Luca too, just open discussion on this, in terms of, specifically the checkout process to make sure that it's a smooth, seamless process for guests. They know what they need to do. They're not overwhelmed with tasks, which, has been a pain point in the news and, social media and stuff. So I guess what are some best practices and tips and tricks, Mike?
Yeah, so when it comes to the guests, I think number one is do not overwhelm them with a bunch of tasks, that we see in the news. Oh, I had to take the trash out, mow the lawn, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, we're not doing that as professional hosts. I mean, we see it. But if anyone's doing that, you might want to rethink it. So first and foremost, just make that checkout process as seamless as possible. One thing that, we try to do is we actually have this feature in Turno, and it was something that came from, hosts that were doing it already, is we have this early checkout review process. So what you can do is actually through your automated messaging through Jurny, actually send them this, link where it'll be like, hey, when you're ready to check out, just let us know. And they just, say, hey, I'm leaving now. And that's going to fire off to the cleaner and let them know that they can get there early. Which, believe it or not, a lot of short-term rental cleaners love this because they're typically, their hours of operation are between, 11 and 3, sometimes 10 and 4. So if they get the opportunity to go and bang out a property early, there's nothing better than, getting your last clean of the day done at 1:32, because in turn, that's going to give the next host or the host you're working with the ability to offer an early check-in, which you can charge for, right? Or not charge for and just hope they give you a stellar review. So there's a lot of components to, being really organized, being super communicative with your cleaners. Like you need to keep the dialogue open with your cleaners and then also with your guests. So if I have a guest that's leaving at 6 a.m. to get on a drive, I kind of want to know that. And, don't just watch the cameras or see the ring notifications because they might be going to the grocery store or church. And the last thing you want is a cleaner in there, when all their stuff's still there, right? So things like that, I think are pretty important. And everyone's different, right?
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. The hosts that I've talked to about specifically the suggestion you just gave with the early checkout, like having the guest indicate that they're checking out early, they love that. Even from the host or property manager side as well. So I guess I hadn't thought about it from the cleaner side. Big positive for them, but from the host management side, also a huge to your point, you can charge for early check-ins for the next reservation and things like that. So yeah, absolutely. On my end, so you gave some of those tips already, which were great tips. I think having a clear, concise, simple checkout process. To Mike's point, don't ask them to take out the garbage or things like that. There are solutions for those things, but keeping it simple, just a couple of steps to check out is, I think, key. And being proactive about asking for a review, I think, is also super important. Even during the stay, checking in with the guests, making sure that they're having, you know, a memorable stay, that everything is up to their standards and expectations, so that you can be proactive if it's not, right, and earn that good review from them. So awesome stuff, good tips.
100%. And to that point, I mean, that's some of the stuff that we're also building on our end, because we understand how important that is. With Jurny is actually, as these AI agents that we're building evolve, and I don't want to talk about AI today, but as these AI agents evolve, we eventually are going to have that basically in an automated way.
Yeah.
As well as like figuring out in an organic conversation, if the guest is checking out early, what time they're leaving, if they need anything, and how their stay was. All these things that eventually are going to be fully automated. And one of the big reasons why Jurny really wanted to have these deep integrations with partners like Turno is that so we have access to all this information, so we can share all this information with Turno. And so what you can get out of our partners is actually even better than if they were on their own.
So in the near future too, and this is like really cool to me, because it's possible, is, you know, say that AI chatbot, you know, messages the guest, and, you know, they say, hey, we're going to be leaving early. We have the capability between, you know, our two companies to automatically ping the cleaner and let them know, right? And
Exactly.
you don't even have to talk to them, and vice versa, right? So say someone messages you at midnight the night before they're checking out, they're probably out drinking, they want a late checkout, and that AI bot sees, okay, there isn't a check-in until, you know, the following day. It's going to automatically let the cleaner know, hey, you know what, you don't need to show up there till 1 p.m. right? And then you can charge for that as well. Luke, I'm sure you can probably, you know, figure out how to monetize that as well. It's just really exciting to kind of see, you know, where, you know, the future of tech's going, and that's really important to people, right? Because everyone wants to, you know, boost their revenue. Okay.
Absolutely. And I think to that point, it's actually very important to speak about the importance of connectivity. At first, for especially for us at Jurny, it's been like very hard to talk about the importance of connectivity, because very few people understood the importance, because we were looking at the time like 3-4 years ahead, or even like more, right? And but now it's becoming more and more evident how important these connectivities are. And I want to speak to the fact of the partners that have also seen this, right? Because like this is a big investment from not just Jurny, but also the partners themselves, because it was a lot of work to do the integrations that you guys have done with us. It wasn't as easy as doing the regular normal integration, but you guys have seen the potential as well, right? Of like going in a deeper integration, it means that there's going to be less connectivity issues. There's going to be more information shared between the two as partners, and it's going to be a closer partnership. And as these technologies evolve, you can have some crazy automations that are going to be built out. And I think it's very, like, oftentimes I talk about building infrastructure and the importance of it as this tech evolve, and this is what I talk about. So it's exciting seeing how the direction where this is going, and this is like at the very beginning of something even a lot bigger.
I'm jumping the gun, but it's coming, and it's inevitable, right?
Could not agree more.
Sooner than most people realize, yeah. Well, we have another good question here from Marianne in the chat. My main worry is how to give guests clear instructions without bombarding them with a list of tasks. How do you recommend approaching this, or is it better not to give set instructions to guests?
Michael,
I don't know. It's so challenging, because there's different trains of thought on this. Because the worst thing you could do is not give them checkout instructions, and it become a nightmare. And then, you know, if you give them these overwhelming checkout instructions, it might tick them off to the point where they're going to leave a bad review. So what I recommend is like get in the forums, you know, talk to other hosts, like people that have been doing it. Like everyone loves sharing, you know, their tips and tricks because they're proud of them, right? That's where we get a lot of our ideas is like, hey, what's a pain point for you guys? And we love to hear them, right? So I would just kind of crowd search for, what's working for other people with like a similar property and like a similar market, and kind of go from there, because I can't they can't give like a clear cut answer to that, because it's going to differ property to property.
Yeah, and I would add that within my experience, that I've seen like many listings for many different hosts, including obviously us as former hosts, you want to prevent giving tasks that you think are not hospitality like. Like, if you ask someone, and again, I know this is the most obvious one, but for a guest to take out the trash, that's like, or put the laundry in for you and then the washing machine, it's just not good. That's not hospitality like. Granted, maybe I understand that then that you have some dynamics in which it's going to make it very hard for you to have another check-in right after, but this is going to cost you one way or another, and in the long run I think it will cost you more by giving this specific task to guests to do, because eventually they're going to leave you negative reviews, and eventually you are going to be able to charge a lot less for a night stay.
Yeah. I think one thing that's very important, just from my experience too, and this helps in two ways, is like basic as, how do you exit? If there's multiple egresses in your place, make sure that they lock those ones from the inside. And when they're leaving, they make sure that they, lock that deadbolt, right? And if you have a smart lock, that's going to fire off to you, and when they're, leaving, right? And you can make it as far as like, just let us know when you're leaving, through this link, whether you have, some sort of, or use our guest checkout review or another solution. I think the important thing is to know when that guest left, because it's going to be very important. I can't tell you how many times cleaners show up and there's people just like still asleep in beds, right? And then they're milling around, they're waiting, they're contemplating going to another property to turn, because you're just wasting their time. And if cleaners have that happen habitually, they're not going to want to work with you. So I would say that there is a secret sauce to it, and certain guests just ignore them, right? Like they just don't open up any of these messages, no matter what channel it comes from. But I would say that like a majority are going to follow the instructions. 5-star hosts tend to, or 5-star guests tend to, be pretty vigilant about that because they're used to it. So I would really just ask other hosts in the area, see what's working, and it changes, right? Like 3 years ago, checkout instructions were wildly different than they are now.
100%.
100%.
And streamlining everything as much as possible, both on the check-in and the checkout, is extremely important. That's the reason why we build integrations with companies like Turno and all these different smart lock and smart devices. Because again, as former hosts, we understood how extremely important it is to streamline everything from the beginning to the end.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I would keep it simple. I love Mike's suggestion about talking to other hosts in the area. What are they doing that, is successful for them? But yeah, I'm very much of the mindset and kind of philosophy of keep it simple. If there's something, that you can ask the housekeeping team or inspection team or maintenance team or something to take care of, that won't fall on your guest, I think that's, probably the way to go. All right, we have other questions though here. We have a bunch. So Dan is asking, what would you suggest including in the checkout email sent to guests? Great question, Dan. Who wants to take a stab at this one?
Mike,
Me?
you're the expert.
Yeah, I mean, the basics, right? Just, what time is checkout? If you're leaving early, please do us the courtesy of letting us know. It helps our cleaning team, and you can kind of play on the whole, like, we want to, give it to the next guest as clean as you got it, right? Well, don't say that if it wasn't clean, but things along those lines. Really having that personal touch is important too. Like I think as some of these larger companies have, grown in the space, there isn't that personalization, right? And that can come kind of in the check-in as well. Like are people leaving, cards, are you sending like a personalized video to the people checking in, right? Like it's not that hard to do a 30-second video. Hi, my name's Mike, I'm your host. And if there's anything that you need, please let us know and fire that off. I think Luca's unified inbox allows that, I'd hope. That's something that goes a long way. And, they see you as, a host, an individual, not Hilton or Vacasa, right?
Yeah.
So that personalization on the check-in kind of goes a long way, because if they need something on the checkout, they're going to be able to reach out to you and they know you're a human, right? That's big. Yeah. And I think they kind of touched on it, turn the lights off, don't leave the stove burning, lock the door, and review us.
And leave us a 5-star review. I think
Leave
that's
a review.
a
Yep.
very important one. Exactly. So good suggestion, DJ. And
Yeah.
mine.
I would also add to that, potentially if you're already doing something like this, or if not, consider potentially some sort of incentive for leaving a review. At what point you do that? Like, is that part of the checkout message? Is that part of the post checkout messaging? That can vary, but I've seen it work really, really well where, potentially offering a free night, or raffling a free night if they, do something, if they go ahead and take that step and leave a review, or, potentially a discount code if they, leave a review. All of that works really well. So.
Mhm.
Okay, John is asking, should Jurny be used for midterm rentals? So far, the Jurny Turno solution seems perfect for our needs. If not, is there a way to integrate calendars with a channel like Furnish Finder, for example? Yes, and yes, John. Jurny can be used for midterm rentals, and we do have ways to connect other OTAs that we don't have direct integrations with, through iCal links and things like that. So yes to both. Good question. Or good questions. DJ is asking, agree, I see 70% of guests following our guest checkout instructions, especially when we keep the task simple, top 3 only, just my take. Awesome feedback, DJ. Yes. That would be my general recommendation too, top 3, I mean, properties don't always, depending on the property, you can't always get away with that, but.
And by the way, I think, Jason, we already have a couple customers that are connected to Furnish Finder.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
As to
Okay, DJ saying his checkout instructions include turning off the lights and appliances, give us a 5-star review, and lock the doors. Love it. That's fantastic. All right, looks like no other questions. Some comments here for the time being. So if anyone has any questions, go ahead and drop them down in the chat and we will answer those for you. I think we have a few more minutes here for the Q&A. We'll be happy to, tackle those for you. In the meantime, while we're waiting for some additional questions, any other kind of best practices, tips, tricks for specifically, checkout process that we can impart here?
Yeah, I think just one thing, if anyone can kind of leave here with one nugget, you might have the best cleaner ever that's been cleaning for you forever, but things do happen. So what I would say is, like, say that cleaner's, has to go to a wedding out of town and you have, a crazy turnover before a long weekend, like things do happen. So what I would say is, maybe work with that cleaner, go in there when they're turning it sometime, kind of follow them and see what they're doing on the process. Like, where do they start? Where are they finishing? Because if they've been cleaning the same property, 50 times a year, right? They have a process. So the reason I say this is you really need to build out that cleaner's process and try to replicate it and then put it into a checklist, because there's going to come a time where you're going to need someone else to go in there. And if you send someone in blind, the result's going to be crap, right? That's something that, our marketplace, we really, really try to push our hosts to give, you know, cleaners instructions, give them, you know, a checklist, like let them know what's expected, because you're going to get out of it, you know, what you put into it. If I say, hey, go clean my place, you know, there's no expectations. So that's something that I would really try to do. And I don't think your cleaner is going to get mad. It's, you know, just kind of shadow them one day. Like it's kind of a pain to ask them to write everything down. You know, maybe just kind of have a conversation with them and, you know, get that process in writing. That way it's transferable to, you know, anyone else that you need to come in an emergency, or, you know, something pops up. I'm not saying, you know, don't make sure the cleaner doesn't think they're being replaced by any means, right? But it's good to have a process. No, if you use Turno, you don't necessarily need a printed checklist. Those get lost, and you know, if a guest sees it, it's kind of tacky. The checklist is going to live in the app. So if you build a checklist in our, we'll share one out after this webinar. Journey's made one, and I have my own. Mine's probably better because I do this for a living. Sorry guys, we probably went through a lot of effort there, but we'll share some out. So yeah, it's there's templates you can work off of, and there's little things that are going to be on there that, you know, you're probably not thinking of, right? So that's what I would do, and don't ruffle your own cleaner. What I would say, if a cleaner you've been working with a long time, encourage them to take photos. They can take photos right within the Turno app. Since we're an official Airbnb software partner, just like Jurny is, when those timestamp photos you know, live in the app, and you need to you know, report something to the resolution center, you can just package that up, send it in, say, hey, you know, this guest claimed that it was dirty and, you know, there was mouse shit everywhere. I don't know. Here's a bunch of pictures showing that it wasn't, right? So cleaners cleaners might be hesitant to use the app and take photos, but if they ever get burned in a situation, and I've had this happen a ton of times with stubborn cleaners, where they'll go out, they know they did a really good job cleaning. We had a guest that did not want to stay there, was asking to cancel, wouldn't let them, and they showed up, put mouse shit everywhere, traps, made it seem like a whole you know, mice infestation was at the property, sent pictures to Airbnb, and we didn't have any pictures you know, to counter that. And that cleaner since that day has taken a bajillion pictures on every single cleaning project, even though they, you know, they weren't asked to, because they know they did a good job. And it's a real smack in the face to have, you know, someone come in and be kind of shitty like that. It doesn't happen often, but you know, that was a very expensive long weekend stay that no one was there for. So yeah, just protect yourself, protect your cleaners is what I would say to take away from this joyous Thursday afternoon.
I love it. Love it. Rosa said, I love the Turno and Jurny integration. It's wonderful. So that's thank you.
Thanks, Rosa.
Thank you for using both softwares, and thank you for the nice comment. Well, and thanks everybody for the great question. I guess, like Mike, and thank you so much for being here and sharing all this amazing tip and sharing the better checklist and Jurny.
Share it out.
We will share with everybody. And I guess, like, so if somebody wants to work with Jurny, obviously they can go on our website. If they want to work with Jurny and Turno, they can get through our customer success team or our sales team, or if they're tech savvy, there's ways of them trying to do it on their own, although we don't recommend it. But you can reach out to our team, or obviously if you just want to go and try out Turno, where do they find you, Mike?
Yeah, just turno.com. Sign up or search for cleaner, and one of my sales team will probably harass you pretty quickly.
Perfect.
Yes, you can. You can manually populate. So the way Turno works is there's no marketplace for contractors, you know, lawn maintenance people, things like that. But within Turno, you can actually have different product or project types. So say you have a pool cleaner, you can actually manually schedule them out, and they would just live in Turno as a teammate. So if you have an inspector, we have another functionality for, a welcome person. So in Europe, Luca, it's the land of, here's your key. Let me take a picture of your passport. Everyone does it there. And then in the US, everyone has a door code, right? So there's a functionality there where you can, set that up automatically as well. If you need, pool cleaning, and you can schedule them out, they can go through the same checklist, take the same photos. All that is there. We just don't have that marketplace yet. So anyone that's your own, you can get them on the platform.
That's a great question and great answer, Mike. We just, for some additional context, we have a lot of customers doing that with other, not just housekeepers, but to Mike's point, other, maintenance people, pool, all kinds of different service contractors. So
Yeah.
Hot tubs need to be cleaned because it's real nasty if someone gets there and there's a problem with your hot tub. So, yeah.
And I couldn't stress enough how important it is to have a tool like Turno, and in the combination of both. Obviously, it's a very awesome thing to have as you start scaling and you want to professionalize your operation. So, well, Mike, thank you so much for joining us. I loved this episode. I loved all the questions from all our guests. Thanks everybody for joining the webinar and being super engaged. We got a lot of nice comments and questions, so loved it. And we'll see you guys at the next one.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good afternoon.
thanks, everybody.